Hey guys, Office here and welcome to another Knights of the Frozen Throne with his first impressions. And this is part 3. We have a whole bunch of cards to talk about today, so let's get to it. The stuff. First we have Snow Flipper Penguin. It's a 0 mana 1/1 beast. Basically it's the Wisps, it's the Tiny Fin Murloc, but it's the beast version, so it's like Snow Flipper Penguin. It's really cute and you don't want to kill it, but you have to kill it. Nobody will play this card on its own. It's probably going to be used for beast synergy, like build a beast, or maybe when it summons a random beast, something summons a random beast, it will appear. Other than that, it is just a terrible card on its own, and I give it a 2 out of 10. Still not as bad as, say, the other cards, like the Prince cards. So yeah, this is pretty good on its own. You can keep it, or if you want to dust it, sure, whatever you want to do with it, it's fine. It's cute, so maybe you want to keep it, right? Next we have Cobalt Scalebane. It's a 5 mana 5/5 dragon neutral. At the end of your turn, give another friendly minion +3 attack. So if you have another minion on the board, at least one, and this is effectively a 8/5 worth of stats, and I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of like the weaponsmith, right? The guy who gives like +1 attack to a random friendly minion. This is +3 and it's still very good because it has 5 health and it's really difficult to kill. And because of this ongoing effect, it has some kind of pseudo taunt. People want to deal with this dragon as soon as possible, and when they try and hit it with their minions, the 5 attack will kill them off. So this is really good. I don't see this card being not played at all. I think this card is just good defensively. I think this card is good offensively, and it works well with like taunt decks. For example, if you're playing Taunt Warrior and you play Cobalt Scalebane, suddenly even your Public Defender becomes a free 7, and that's really good. I think that's insane. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. You can think of multiple ways to use this card. This is a really good card. Next we have Cryostasis. It's a 2 mana Shaman spell. Give a minion +3/+3 and freeze it. So basically you can try and use Cryostasis as something to try and stop your opponents from attacking you. For example, like you can play it as a 2 mana freeze, or you can play it as a 2 mana free. Sure, it's both effects in one, but most of the time you're gonna use it for one more than the other, right? So for example, if you have a taunt minion and you try and add it a +3/+3 and freeze it, I think it's very good value, especially because it's a +3/+3 for 2 mana. I think that's a overstat. That's a lot of stats for just 2 mana, so I think this is a good trade-off, freezing it for 1 turn. And if you freeze your own taunt minion, your taunt minion still works, right? So it still doesn't matter if it's frozen. So I think it's really good. You can also try and use Cryostasis with the Icebreaker that was revealed in the past. So like basically you just add a +3/+3, freeze it, and then you go chop it with your face. Of course you take an additional free damage, but sometimes you just want to deal with something that really quickly, and this is one of the ways to do it. But yeah, the trade-off is that you give your opponent 1 turn to deal with whatever you want to do with it, and sometimes it might not be fast enough. Like Hearthstone is very meta and tempo based, so it might not be that good. I give it a 6 out of 10. It could be a 7. I don't know. I think this has potential to be a good card. Next we have Dead Man's Hand. It's a 2 mana warrior spell. Shuffle a copy of your hand into your deck. So basically what this means is that control warriors are possibly going to come back, because last time control warriors got phased out simply because everyone else was getting card generating effects like discover a card, generate a random spell, generate something, and then warriors could not outpace these cards. But now with Dead Man's Hand, warriors can outpace these cards because, well, they can shuffle the entire hand into the deck. Like if you have a hand of Execute, Sleep with Fishes, Brawl, suddenly you have extra copies of these really good spells, and then you can deal with your opponents all the time. So I think this also makes Bring It On, which I rated it really poorly beforehand, it becomes a good card. It becomes really good, right? You don't care if your opponent's hands, some minions are reduced by 2, you just gain 10 armor and then you can wait it out. You have more cards than your opponent and then you're gonna win, right? That's how it works. So that said, the largest number of cards you can put back into your deck is 9 cards, and that means that you have 10 cards in your hand, which also means that you don't really play much of your cards. Sometimes you kind of want to still play cards in order to try and, stagger your opponents a bit before they hit your face until you die. So 9 cards, it's really greedy. I would say if you shuffle at least like 7 cards, it would be really helpful. But even 5 cards, I think it's really good already. It depends on what kind of cards they are as well, right? If it's like Elise, then it's really good. You get like 2 packs, and if you open a pack and then you shuffle all these cards into your deck, that's also really good. So I think Dead Man's Hand is a really good card for Control Warrior. Hopefully they come back. I'm not really a fan of Control Warrior, but I feel like it's a good change of pace, right? Angoro has been like mid-range, and then once you reach around like turn 5, turn 6, it's more or less the game decider. But for this to return, I think things might change up a little bit, and I like it. Next we have Defile. It's a 2 mana warlock card. Deal 1 damage to all minions if any die cast this again. So it's a Whirlwind at worst, it's a Twisting Never at best for 2 mana. I think this is OP as long as you know how to deal with the board. It's really, really good. Like, even if, say, you have a Mortal Coil and like you try and use the Mortal Coil to not draw a card, but to make sure there's some kind of domino effects going on for Defile and you can really clear the board, it is insane. I think this is a really, really good card. Comboed with like good minions or good small minions or Demon Fire, for example, and you can really just clear the board. So it's a 9 out of 10. Good card, good card. Next we have Doomed Apprentice, right? It's a 3 mana 3/2 mage minion, and it's technically a smaller low fab. Your opponent's spells cost 1 more. It's not really a low fab because it's not a permanent effect, right? It's more of like a passive ongoing effect. So if Doomed Apprentice dies, the opponent's spells no longer cost 1 more. So like you see there, it's only 2 HP. So easily killed before spells are cast. So basically what you're forcing your opponent to do is to trade one of your minions into Doomed Apprentice first, or maybe use the weapon to kill her off, and then do whatever they have to do, right? So it kind of messes up their turn a little bit. It's not much. It's kind of like a minor annoyance, but I still think it might be useful. It might require a new mage archetype. Like previously, if we had Mech Mage, for example, Doomed Apprentice would have been actually really, really good because Mech Mage is more of a minion-based deck. So with Doomed Apprentice, you don't really have many spells to cast anyway, and then you just, play Doomed Apprentice, and then you want to deal with your opponents, try to deal with whatever minion you're playing. So maybe we have a more minion-based mage deck coming out. We'll have to see. Rating 7 out of 10. Next, we have Eternal Servitude. It's a 4 mana priest spell, and it's one of the best cards I've seen so far. Discover a friendly minion that died this game. Summon it. So basically, resurrect on drugs, right? So when you resurrect, you choose 1 out of 3 cards that died, and sometimes you can choose like the best cards, right? If only 1 minion died, you discover the exact card. If only 3 minions died, you get to choose which one that died. So I think it's really, really good when you have like at least 3 minions that died, and then you get to choose what you want. 4 is fine. The threshold is pretty much around 7. Then you kind of want to stop using Eternal Servitude because it kind of becomes more random. This is still a very, very good card. Picking 1 out of 3 and resummoning it immediately. It's really, really good. Pick Death Rattles, pick Viscera, pick something that has an ongoing passive effect. It's really, really good. You can even like pick like the elemental the light elemental that reduces your mana costs. I think that's really, really good as well. So I think this is a return of the Resurrect Priest with Onyx Bishop, guys, because Onyx Bishop is still in the meta as in standard. So I think priests might be able to get their Death Rattle priests working now, and I think that's good. 40 health priest with Eternal Servitude. I like it. Next, we have Archbishop Benedictus, right? It's a 7 mana priest legendary. Battlecry, shuffle a copy of your opponent's deck into your deck. I think this is one of the best cards that priests have ever gotten so far, and it is the best priest legendary to have ever come out. All of the other priest legendaries have sucked, right? You think of Herald Volage, you think of Vol'jin. Okay, Vol'jin is okay, but most of the other priest legendaries that have come out have sucked. This is one of the better ones. Like you shuffle what is remaining of your opponent's deck into your deck, and you technically definitely have more cards than them. You won't fatigue. If you're against like a token druid, not token, Jade druid, for example, you take their Jade idols for your own, and then if he wants to play Jade idols, you can play Jade idols with him, right? Especially if you have 40 health and he's like whatever health, and then you can try and outpace him later on. I think that's really, really good. Also, you can also try and combo it with Hammered Jungle Hunter. So basically, destroy all cards in your deck that cost 3 or less. So basically, even if you take your opponent's cards, some of the cards might be useless to you, right? So you want to use Hammered and destroy all the useless cards, and then only use the good cards that they have. And I think that's insane. If this is in Arena, you definitely pick it. If this is a Constructed, it's an auto-include for any priest. I think this is really, really good, no matter what, right? Sure, you kind of like introduce more randomness into the cards you draw, but I don't think that anybody sane would put bad cards in their deck because they're facing priests. That's not how a card works. So taking all their cards is just gold. It even gives you an insight of what they play. It's insane. Next, we have Crossbow Jeana. I think we've already seen this before in the previous episode, but they did not include the hero power, and the hero power is Icy Touch. Deal 1 damage if this kills a minion, summon a water elemental. That is insane. That is insane. You can summon infinite water elementals, and you're forcing your opponents to play in such a way that they can't give you a minion that has 1 health, for example. So sometimes it kind of forces them to not even play minions, which is nonsense, right? You want to play minions in order to win the game. So Crossbow Jeana has become even stronger. Permanent effects are always good, and I'm upgrading her from 8 to 9. She's really, really good. Just make sure you survive until turn 9 before you play this card, and then even survive even more in order to play your Icy Touch and stuff like that. I think that's really, really good. Next, Nosferatu. It's a 2-mana 2/3 Warlock minion. Battlecry, remove the top card from your opponent's deck. So basically, you take that card away. It's a good card. There is no downside to this card. Play this card if you're a Warlock. It's an auto-include, no questions asked. Basically, against anyone, removing a card from your opponent's deck is insane. Insane. No questions asked. Play it. You can break combos, you can break anything. It's insane. Like, normally if you want to get rid of your opponent's cards, you want to mill them, right? But now you don't even have to mill them. You can just like, oh, this card? No, this card. See what I did there? Alright, next. Icewalker. It's a 2-mana 1/3 minion for mage. Your hero power also freezes the target. So this is comparable to Fallen Hero, who is a 2-mana 3/2. Your hero power deals 1 extra damage. Rest in peace, Fallen Hero is no longer in standard, but Icewalker is arguably so much better than Fallen Hero. Him being there helps you freeze opponents, and freeze is arguably even more powerful than, say, dealing 2 damage and killing something off, right? For example, if your opponent plays something really big, and then you just toss your hero power, and then it can't move anymore. It is insane. I think it's really, really good, and Icewalker doesn't really die that quickly because of the 3 health. So possibly you can use the frozen hero power for more than 2 turns, and I think that's really insane. I think that's insane. Good arena card, no, best arena card. If you see this in arena, pick it immediately. 9 out of 10. Next we have Wagon. It's a 4-mana 1/4 Death Rattle. Summon a minion from your deck with less attack than your minion, than this minion. So basically it's a pretty much a very good card design. Like, when you can make your you can modify your effect to pull out certain minions from your deck. I think that's really, really good. So basically you want to like keep it as 1/4, so you can pull out your eggs, or you can pull out your Doomsayer, you can pull out your validated Doomsayer even, and it becomes a really, really good card. Or you can buff it up so that it can pull out even other cards that might come out into your board and become a threat to your board. So I think this is one of the more OP cards. It's really, really good card design because you can change whatever you want to pull out by buffing it or changing its stat line. I think this is a really, really good. Blizzard has, personally, I feel like Blizzard has outdone themselves in terms of card design, and I give this an 8 out of 10 because of how versatile this card can be. Next we have Murabi. It's a 6-mana 4/4 Shaman legendary. Whenever another minion is frozen, add a copy of it to its hand. The stat line is not so good. You expect Murabi to die within 1 or 2 turns, so you possibly can only copy, say, 1 or 2 cards depending on how you try and synergize your freezing synergy. You have Cryostasis right now, you have Frost Shock, you have Glacial Shard, so 3 ways to try and get your opponent's minions or your own minions to be frozen, so I think that's still pretty good. Freeze Shaman might become a thing because of Murabi, so we'll have to see, right? If, for example, if 4-mana 7/7s were in the meta right now, you can freeze it, and then suddenly you get another 4-mana 7/7, for example. Or if your opponent plays something really OP, you can freeze it and you get whatever your opponent's played, and then you can just sort of knock it in his face, right? Shamans can now steal cards as well. I think that's a really, really good mechanic. And this is another good card design. I think it's really good. 8 out of 10. Next we have Necrotic Dice. It's a 6-mana 5/3 neutral minion. Whenever one of your other minion dies, summon a 2/2 ghoul. So you can compare this to like Cult Master or something like that, but usually I think this is think of this as more of a repopulation card. It's like, for example, I might even be able to rename this as a 6-mana spell. Whenever your minion dies, or summon a 2/2 minion. I think that's really, really good, right? Even without the stat line alone, I think 6 mana is worth playing this card. Playing this card, the body is good, the attack is good, and then when your tokens, it allows your tokens or your minions to clear whatever your opponents played, and then it repopulates the board with a 2/2 ghoul. I think that is really, really insane. It's a very good effect. So for example, if you played Onyxia for turn 1, your opponent is like, oh, okay, I guess I have to deal with the 8/8 body, right? So deal with the 8/8 body, then you play Necrotic Dice. Later on, all your whelps die, and you fill your board with 2/2s instead of 1/1s. I think this is a really, really good card, but expect Necrotic Dice to die turn 1, right? In 1 turn. It has 3 health, easy to kill, but it doesn't go down without a fight. 5 damage. Pretty good. Next we have Princeton Valinor. It's a 4 mana 4/4 legendary battlecry. If your deck has no 4 cost cards, gain life steal and taunt. So the stat line is actually fine, and it's actually one of the more playable princes so far. We have like the other princes with 2 mana cost, 3 mana costs. I think those other princes are not good enough. They're kind of crappy. Like 2 mana and 3 mana are your foundation cards, and you can't really afford to remove them from your deck. And even then, the payoff for not having those cards in your deck is just too little. So those were not playable. This one, however, a 4 mana cards might be playable, because like you've seen cards decks like Zoo, right? We have like 4 mana. 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana. For example, your Arcanite Reaper, right? You have the 5 mana Arcanite Reaper, and then you have Leroy Jenkins and so on. So you might not need the 4 mana slot for your Pirate Warriors. So it's really possible for this to be played. A Lifesteal and Taunt will be useful against as an aggro as well, because you kind of want to try and heal yourself and want to protect your small minions from dying. So this is a pretty good card for aggro decks, and I rated 7 out of 10. Next we have Shadowblade. It's a 3 mana 3/2 rogue weapon. Rogue's weapons are finally back. Unfortunately, this is not Shadow Step, this is Shadowblade. But it's really, really good as well, because your hero is immune this turn. It should not be confused by your hero is immune every turn. It's only this turn, right? So when you play it, your hero becomes immune, and then you can start training, you can start activating like leopard gnomes and whatnot, activating your own bomb squad, so your bomb squad doesn't kill you, because you know you don't take damage. So it's really, really good if you have bomb squad in your on the board already, and then you play Shadowblade. So basically, Arena, you want to really play this card. Even in Constructed, possibly you can play it with like Leeching Blade and Venom Weapon, and suddenly your weapons become really, really powerful, and then you might even be able to heal yourself from that. Like hitting something that you're not supposed to hit, and then you're still healing from it instead of taking lots of damage. I think that is insane value, and that makes weapon rogues a little bit more viable. So free attack weapons are very valuable. A lot of good minions have free health, so free attack is really, really good. So 7 out of 10, good card, good card. Next we have Spreading Plague. It's a 5 mana druid spell. Summon a 1/5 Scarab with taunt. Take note, it's 1/5, not 1/1. So it's not build a wall trump warrior kind of style. It's more of a build a wall and you literally can't do anything kind of style. So like, if your opponent has more minions, cast this again, so you can summon a 1/5 Scarab, summon another 1/5 Scarab. 5 health is so hard to deal with, it's insane. And it can even work with Hadronox, where it summons all the top minions that die this game. So you can build another wall after this wall. That is really, really good. It's really, really good. Anti-aggro to the max. 8 out of 10. We have Stitch Tracker. It's a 3 mana 2/2. It's a 2/2 only, so the stat is not so good. The text had better be good. And it is. Battlecry, discover a copy of a minion in your deck. So basically it's something like a Shadow Visions, except for minions instead of spells. So it's really, really good for you to want to try and fish for answers. Some of your cards like secrets would be really, really helpful for you sometimes if you feel like, oh, I can't deal with this board. Hey, Stitch Tracker, I can try and copy something else from my deck in order to deal with it. So okay, so, sorry, no secrets, minions. So for example, your Kodo, for example, they can deal 2 damage, or something like a Beast with Taunt would be really, really helpful as well. Even Helmmaster is really good. The only problem about this card is that it's not a beast, so you can't really synergize a lot with this card. It's more like a kind of treat it more like a novice engineer more than anything. So I would still give it a 7 out of 10, but it's definitely a better novice engineer. Next we have Sunborne Gaucher. It's a 5 mana 5/4 minion neutral, and Battlecry give adjacent minions +2 health. This is one of the better cards in Arena. In Constructed, I do not really see this being played, but it is still possibly good in Priest or Su or Murloc, right? For example, the current iteration of Murloc Paladin, you might still want to play this card, even though there definitely are better cards out there. So unless you do not have enough dust to get, say, like Finja, for example, Sunborne Valkyr might be able to help you out. Next we have Valkyr Soul Claimer. It's a 3 mana 1/4. 3 mana 1/4. The stat line is like so it has to be good with the text, right? And it is. Whenever this minion survives damage, summon a 2/2 ghoul. So again with the 2/2 ghouls, I don't know why there's so many ghouls out there, but this is definitely a better Imp Master. Imp Master is a 3 mana 1/5. At the end of your turn, summon a 1/1 Imp, right? 1/1 Imp versus 2/2 ghoul. You know which is better. And definitely with Valkyr Soul Claimer, it has a lot of synergy with, say, Whirlwind, even your Your 3 mana 3/3 then deals 1 damage throughout the board. Your Blood Razor, your animated Berserkers, warriors can basically use Valkyr Soul Claimer to flood the board. And well, what do you know? If you have Frothing Berserker on the board as well, warriors kind of feel a little bit more OP now. 7 out of 10. Next, we have the final card of the day, Venom Strike. It's a 2 mana secret for hunters. When one of your minions is attacked, summon a 2/3 Poisonous Cobra. So I'm not sure if they're gonna summon Emperor Cobra. Probably it's gonna just be Cobra, and then it says Poisonous on it. So yeah, good card. Secrets makes players play differently. They don't know if it's freezing, they don't know if it's misdirection, snipe, whatnot, even cat trick, for example. And now, when they hit your own minions, it triggers a Poisonous Cobra to appear. So they're like, oh crap! Instead of going face, I probably still need to kill your Cobra first, and that's not happy times if I only have like a bigger minion, right? Because normally to play against Freezing Trap, you kind of want to use a smaller minion to try and trigger it so that you don't really have a lot of a setback, right? But when you do that and it triggers Venom Strike Trap instead, then your bigger minions are the only ones left to deal with the Cobra. So they're like, oh crap, do I go face or do I kill the Cobra? And normally they will still want to go face, but that also means that that's the final attack that the big minions can deal before they die to the Cobra. So I still think this is a really good card, so 7 out of 10. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and hope you guys liked my first impressions video. Please leave a comment down below what you think, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.